Sadness. Difficulty concentrating. Loss of interest. Depression can be treated. The first step is talking.
Cleveland is a special place that many of us call home. We fill our lives with good memories. Many times we sit around the dinner table and we talk about those fond memories. A lot of our memories come from participating in youth sports programs. Some have reached professional levels by coming through these same fields that we look at today. The teenagers playing in the baseball championship game will get that same opportunity right here at Brookside Park, Talty Field. It takes a host of people and the sponsors from the Cleveland Baseball Federation, Cleveland Indian Charities, the volunteer coaches, the city of Cleveland to provide baseball free this summer season.
Hey guys, line back up. Coach.
Welcome to Brookside Park for the 2018 Cleveland Senior Baseball Championship game. Hi, I'm Tim Wells and my partner Tom Castleberry. Many will know him as the former head coach from the Lincoln West Wolverines, who's been down to Progressive Field as a habit since you were there, Coach. It hasn't happened, but I'll tell you what, you know a lot of these players that are playing here today.
Yeah, it's always good to be back out here, seeing a lot of the Cleveland kids and a lot of the coaches that we've seen around here, and I'm looking forward to a good night of baseball.
And then when you look at the two teams that were coming in here, both of these teams had a previous matchup, and it was 8-8 back on June 25th at Michael's Own Field. But the O-Ball Indians come in at 11-1, and they have got three key things that they need to do here today to win, Tom.
Yeah, as we talked to the coaches before the game, he said timely hitting is going to be really key for them, and his experienced players are going to need to lead. And the biggest thing is, as it is we say every year, the defense can only give the other team 3 outs.
And then when you look at the Michael Zone keys to their game, they're talking about pitching and defense, which is one of the keys that really play in all championship games.
Yeah, Coach said his starting pitcher needs to keep the game close. He doesn't want him to get out to that early lead. And the exact same thing that we heard from both teams is they only want to give 3 outs on defense. And we know that they like to run, and Angel wants them to be smart on the bases.
Well, as you can see, the players are lined up. So without further ado, we'll go to Edwin Santiago for the player introductions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Brookside Park's Talty Field for the 2018 Senior Boys Baseball Championship, featuring Michael's Own Raiders and the O-Ball Indians. Introducing Michael's Own Raiders. We're number 13, a catcher, Luis Toribio. We're number 9, center fielder, Allison Garcia. First baseman, number 18, Colin Harris. Right fielder wears number 1, Trevor Sloan. Number 10 is Aaron Harrison. Number 15 is the extra player in the lineup, Sammy Termino. Second baseman wears number 2, Cameron Ray. Right fielder, number 6, Jorge Cruz. Extra player in the lineup, number 6, Kevin Nieses. Outfielder number 11, Jesus Figueroa. Michael's Own Raiders are coached by manager Mr. Archangel Martinez and assisted by Argenis Martinez. Introducing the O-Ball Indians. Number 19, center fielder Mike Clark. We're number 3, shortstop Jordan Barnett. Doing the pitching, number 9, Matt Harry Jr. Right fielders, number 10, Billy Balke. Number 13 is the catcher, Dan Wimsett. Playing first base, number 3, Rudy Rodriguez. Third baseman, number 8, John Bufford Jr. Left fielders, number 16, Jordan Mallarny. Second baseman, number 14, Tyler Rodriguez. Extra player in the lineup, number 18, Phil Moore. Outfielder, number 5, Eric Skolf. Number 12 is an outfielder, Jose Correa. Number 20 plays in the outfield, Jonathan Cruz. Number 17, outfielder, Scott Johnson. Outfielder wearing number 4, Nick Morzinski. Oba Indians are coached by Mr. Tony Latessa and assisted by Matt Harry Sr. and Mr. Obed Rodriguez. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you rise, remove your caps, and face the flag for the playing of our national anthem.
We are moments away from senior baseball championship play here at Brookside Park. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the umpires that are going to work today's game. They're all certified with the Ohio High School Athletic Association. They also are members of the Greater Cleveland Umpires Association. They work the season all year long. On the left is Chris Jacobs, 12 years as an umpire, graduate of Rocky River. Kevin Stowers, 30-year umpire, a 1976 graduate of East Tech. In the middle is George Hinton, 14 years, a graduate of John F. Kennedy. And Mark Bufford, his second year as an umpire, is a graduate from the Wildcats of St. Ignatius. But Tom, they're going to basically take care of pretty much the standard rules, but let's take a look at some of them.
Yeah, tonight we play a 7-inning game in this league. And in our batting order, we do have an additional hitter to get an extra player in the game, so you will see 10 players batting in each team's lineup. The dimensions of the field, though, are basically going to be what you see everyday baseball. Our bases are going to be a distance of 90 feet. The pitcher is going to be 60 foot, 6 inches away from home plate. There is a mandatory play rule, so everybody must bat, everyone must play the field, and the starters are allowed to re-enter the game. We will also have tonight a run spread rule of 10 innings after 5, or 10 runs after 5 innings. We will play a couple speed-up rules to keep the game moving. If we want to intentionally walk somebody, no pitches will need to be thrown. And there is a courtesy runner for the catcher. And if we happen to get lucky enough to play some extra innings tonight, the innings will start with a runner on second base, which will be the last batted out from the previous inning for any game that's going into extra innings.
And Tom, let's talk a little bit about the Oba Indians and the starting defense for them.
Yeah, for Oba, out in left field, we're going to have Jordan Mallarny. In center field is Mike Clark. In right field is Billy Bulkey. Coming around the infield at first base is Rudy Rodriguez. Second base, number 18, Phil Moore. Over at shortstop is Jordan Barnett. At third base is Dan Wimsett. Behind the plate is Tyler Rodriguez. And on the mound is number 9, the right-hander Matt Harvey.
Well, we had a chance to talk to the head coach of the Old-Ball Indians, Tony Latessa, and we asked for his views on his starting pitcher today, Matt Harry.
Today my starting pitcher is Matt Harry. For him to be successful today, he needs to throw first pitch strikes and keep his pitch count down.
And again, obviously, Tony Latessa, 19 years coaching. He was involved with the championship game, both of these coaches a year ago. They won, at that time it was called Connie Mack. They won the season last year. And Archangel on the other side with the Michael Zone, he won the younger division in the Mickey Mantle. Now it's called Senior, Juniors, and Youth. And again, two outstanding teams. One of them comes in here. I think it really comes down to, Tom, when we're looking about defense and hitting, both of them can put the ball flat out there automatically. And then as far as the lineup for the starting lineup for the Michael Zone team, it'll be leading off with Kevin Niesis at short, Fernando Toribio the catcher, Allison Garcia, Colin Harris, Carvente Williams, Trevor Sloan, Aaron Harrison, Sammy Termino, Cameron Ray, and Jorge Cruz. Again, we'll have a special guest that'll be sitting with us for the first few innings. He'll be from Cauga Heights, so you folks that go back in history, and we'll look at a history package today about what it was years ago when it first started baseball, way back from the first time of the league park, which has now been renovated into a new league park, the old stadium, the historic field. And he'll be joining us next inning, Tom Broery. For you guys that remember the Jay Schraders and the family team, and the old Cauga Heights High School is still out there and still involved. They're a part of the program now this year. They played in the senior league, so we'll get a chance to chat with Tom on some of the things that took place back then. So we are moments away here from the start of today's game, and again, when we're talking about key players, when we get a chance, we'll show you some of those key players in today's ball game as well. So leading off for the Michael Zone team, and again, we're getting these last minute kudos to make sure we got everybody here now. Again, temperature, a perfect day for baseball if you're looking for a balmy, we'll call it about 70 degrees. And again, leading off is number 5, Kevin Niesis. And again, number 5. So that's Kevin Niesis, and he's from Max Hayes. He'll lead off. The umpire is waiting for him to close the gate and get him started, so we are underway. We do want to remind you that if you watch TV20 on your channel here, channel 1020 on the Spectrum Network, we'll be showing a lot of championship action, and the first pitch is right down Broadway.
I'm sure the players are glad to be out here after waiting to get all day to get this championship game underway. All the pregame hype.
Again, both of these, a lot of these teams, Tom, that you've seen them in the high school scene now are beginning to look at college, and we'll have also joining us today before we're all done, Corey Douglas, who is the pitching coach over at Mount Union College. He's also the RBI senior coach, and we'll talk about kids that get ready to go to college, what preparations they need to do to get ready. Again, the program started back in the first week in June. They played on Monday and Wednesday evenings. Hits the ball right on the button. It's going to hit a gap. And not only first, he'll be going into second. He may try for third, but he'll hold up right there. And again, a double to start out the ball game for Niesis.
Yeah, you could see Harry early on trying to command his fastball, and I think he just left one out over the plate there, heading the count. And it was a nice piece of hitting there. He went to right center with it. Good spot for a ball.
So Fernando Toribio hits a line shot, base hit, right field line. So he's going to hold him at third. Ball was hit right on the button. First pitch, Coach.
Yeah, maybe they picked up on it real quick that he's trying to get ahead with that fastball, because he jumped all over that. And the usually aggressive Coach Martinez over there wisely held him up. He didn't want to make that first out at home plate there.
So now number 9, Allison Garcia. He's from James Ford Rhodes High School. Likes Francisco Lindor as his favorite player. He'll pop it up. This could be trouble. Going back and making a nice catch was the shortstop, Jordan Barnett, for the first out.
And I'll say this, zone is definitely being aggressive here. 2 batters in a row going after the first pitch.
So now it'll be number 18, Colin Harris. He's an RBI player. One of the key players to the game. We'll talk about those key players when we get a chance. He bats cleanup, and then the ball gets stuck behind there. No one will get a cheap run here.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times. I don't know if that's he's trying to throw a breaking ball there, a changeup, but he's bounced 2 of them up there, and everything else has been kind of straight fastball.
So second and third, 1 down. The Michael Zone Raiders come in with an 8-3 record and 1 tie. That tie against the team they're playing here tonight. They beat the Estabrook Royals 12-3 and the Old Brooklyn Sox 7-3 to get here. Again, 16, 17, and 8-year-olds senior baseball championship game. And again, the great news for you at home, folks, when we mention RBI, we'll explain that. Reviving baseball in the inner city, where the kids get to play in their own league. This league during the week, they get a chance to try out for a travel team that represents Cleveland. And they went to a regional tournament, and we'll talk about how they did there. So a swing and a miss, throws it inside, no go. So they caught him swinging. So 2 down, and now I'm looking at a number 9, and I think it was Garcia. Sloan. So number 9 is Sloan, and that's Trevor Sloan, I believe. So he's wearing number 9 now. And I believe he's going to pitch, but we'll find that out when he gets out there. Again, Sloan is going to be going to Tri-C West. I'll tell you what, this kid's humming, man.
He's bringing in, if he can get command of some kind of off-speed pitch. He's so far kind of just been leaving it up about the letters, but he can get out of this first and third, nobody out to start the game here. 1 more out.
360 hitter during the season.
1-1, 2 down.
Catcher behind the plate, Tyler Rodriguez, did a nice job keeping the ball in front of him. Again, an RBI player. And again, when you this shows some real grit here by Harry.
Yeah, that would go huge for him for the rest of the game here if he can start off with that double single and then get out of this without giving up any run, give him a nice boost.
So 2-1 count. Ground ball. Bufford. He makes the play. So they knock on the door, but they don't get in. So now, when you look at the defense for the Michael Zone Raiders, and you can see our camera shot from up above, That's TV20 coming into your house. Let's talk about the Michael Zone Raiders.
In left field, we have Aaron Harrison. In center field, Allison Garcia. In right field, Jorge Cruz. Coming around the infield, at third base is Carvante Williams. At shortstop is Kevin Nieses. At second base is Cameron Ray. Over at first, number 18, Colin Harris. Behind the plate is Fernando Torribo, and I believe we have a change in the pitching, and we have number 9, Trevor Sloan.
So Trevor Sloan was originally listed as a relief pitcher before the ball game. They've changed it and decided to start him. So we'll see if the truck has anything on the comments from the head coach, and we'll see exactly what the coach had to say about his starting pitcher today.
Starting pitcher is Trevor Sloan. For him to be successful, he just has to pitch well.
Well, that's a hell of a statement, Coach.
And if you can just get your pitcher to pitch well, you will be well off.
Now, when we're talking about pitching well, Coach, help me understand that one. Are we talking strikes? Is he getting ahead of the hitter? I mean...
So I guess it could be a combination, but I'm assuming he's going to want to hit his spots. He's going to want to get ahead so he doesn't have to throw a pitch that the batter's going to want to see. And probably that last-minute switch-up kind of threw off the assistant coaches. Coach Martinez sent out his assistant and said, just go wing it for me.
All right, the starting lineup for the O-Ball Indians. Mike Clark leading off, playing center. Jordan Barnett at short. Matt Harry, the pitcher. Billy Balke, the right fielder. Dan Wimsett, he's at third. Rudy Rodriguez over at first. Jordan Marlinet, the left fielder. Tyler Rodriguez, the catcher. John Bufford is the second baseman, and Phil Moore is the extra player.
I tell you, Tim, every year we do a game, it seems like we have a Bufford playing second base.
You better believe it. Well, he's come a long way from years ago when they played in the old youth. When we talk to Tom, I'm sure he'll talk about Little F baseball, how that first started years ago. And again, the Indians come in with a 9-1-1 record. They won to get into the playoffs. The Cahuga Heights team, they got by them 3-2, and they run spread Estabrook 10-0. I'll have to ask Coach Brory about that game. 3-2 had to be a heck of a game. He'll join us at the top of this inning. So leading off is Mike Clark. He'll go to Lorain Community College, hitting .562 on the year, an RBI player. He led the team. His team was 17 stolen bases, 27 hits.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to keep him about the base pass because he can fly.
I'll tell you, his mom follows him everywhere he goes and supports him.
I remember seeing her around years ago when he was just starting out. She was out, never missed a game.
So 2-1 count. He fouled that off.
Kind of a different approach here. We saw in the top half of the inning all fastballs until late in the inning, and we're 4 pitches in and we're already seeing a breaking ball from Sloan.
So here we go, 2-2. In the dirt. You don't want to put him on. He's the guy that they talk that starts him and gets him going.
Now you walk him here, you may as well just consider it a triple.
Yeah. He's a game changer. Solid leadoff hitter. And he didn't go chasing it. So what is that percentage they talk about, Coach? You walk that leadoff, he's going to score how many percentage of the time?
I think it's like 118.7% of the time.
We got the executive director of the Cleveland Baseball Federation coming into the house, John Carter. He's got a big smile on his face today, and rightly
I bet
so.
he does.
Oh my. Not what the doctor ordered.
I don't think this is what he had in mind when he said pitch well.
And now Matt Harry, the pitcher, hitting .547 on the year. And you look at it right here, Coach. You can see he tried to jam him, just grazed him.
Yeah, you don't know. It's curious to see how we laid down a nice bunt here.
So a bunt single. So fundamentals. I guess, Coach, they call that the mental mistake of the game.
Yeah, and with all those changes on defense, and I was about to say, new pitcher, maybe he wasn't quite warmed up or mentally ready, and now people are playing in different positions, and all of a sudden, simple bunt coverage goes wrong, and now the bases are loaded, nobody out.
So now you got Billy Bulkey, .592 on the year from Benedictine. And again, an outstanding student over at Benedictine. He led this team with 22 RBIs, 8 walks. He pitched a phenomenal game. We won't see him pitch today, but he pitched a phenomenal game in the regional, beating Cincinnati 1-0. They tell me, and got the game-winning hit. 2-1 count. So now the infield plays in. A little bit surprised that early. Fly ball deep. Sacrifice caught. So 1 run is in. Mike Clark comes in to score on the sac fly. And a nice catch by the center fielder, Allison Garcia.
That was really a nice job, too. He didn't try to do too much. He made sure they got that run home. We saw in that first inning, it's not guaranteed. The second and third, they had nobody out and didn't score, so at least they got that run home.
So now Dan Wimsett, you're looking at the replay here.
We just had a balk.
Oh, wow.
Good job, Jordan. Good job.
Didn't quite see what he did there, but he definitely seems to be rattled early on.
So 2-0. Take one up high. Gonna pop that one up, out of play. Hope they didn't hit my car.
That's going to delay us 10 minutes.
And Sloan needs to settle down here and get himself through this inning. Can't worry about the stuff that's already happened to him. Seems to be kind of pressing a little bit. And he does have a base open, but I don't think he wants to deal with that right now.
Fly ball, deep right field. Nice catch with some power. So the fly out by Wimsett is the second out of the inning.
Runner did advance to third, but that's a big out.
Seems to have settled in, and now Rudy Rodriguez, the first baseman. Again, an RBI player, Rudy Rodriguez. 488 James Ford Rhodes High School.
I must be getting really old, Coach, because I remember when he came in as a freshman in high school.
We're all young. We never did it.
I see some umbrellas popping out here, Tim. Our perfect night here is getting a little bit sprinkled on.
So 2-1 count.
The catcher might need to go talk to him. You can just see in his face already. He's already putting his head down. He's getting a little frustrated with the way the inning started off for him. He just needs to regather.
So now Jordan Mallory, 5'10", playing left field. Left-hand hitter. They get some balance in this lineup. And joining us at the top of the inning, we have a man that is a very happy guy today. More ways than one.
I also don't think he would have let this go this far without visiting the pitcher's mound, but I'm just saying.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would have stopped coaching and just kind of tried to lip read if he went out there.
So again, 8 teams, over 100 players participated. So again, not what the doctor had ordered. He hoped to get him in here through the first inning. It's 2-0. He's still in the ball game here.
He's definitely laboring though, and getting a little too discouraged with himself.
So another walk. So we've had 3 walks, a hit batter. They've only given up 2. And now it'll be up to Tyler Rodriguez, their catcher. And we saw fundamentally what he did defensively in the first game, being able to block the ball and do the right thing.
He had 8 walks on the season. Nice patient hitter, and the way Sloan's been around the strike zone, could be trouble.
So 1-1 count. Used to drive me nuts when guys wouldn't throw strikes. You know, I don't know if you were like that, Coach.
Just a little bit.
A little bit?
Just a little bit.
I won't even ask the executive director and the president and all that, because I just know. I watched him when our kids played sometimes when he'd be out there walking back and forth, you know. It's like, are you kidding me? I could see that look. Here comes another run, getting by him. Didn't block it. Now it's 3 runs. And here's the amazing part, on no hits. Ouch.
We've seen about everything but a hit this inning. Hit batters, walks, balks, errors, mental errors. Well, technically, I guess they did have 1 hit on the bunt, but.
So that ends the inning. They call them out on strikes for the 3rd out of the inning, but they do get the 3 runs on no hits. And we'll call it an error, mental error, definitely, and some walks. But joining us right now is the president of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, John Carter. And John, we get a chance to chit-chat every year about this time of the year, but this is the first time I've seen you come in here with a big smile on your face in a long time.
Thank you, Tim. Yesterday was a great day.
We haven't told our viewers at home, so maybe you can let everybody know what happened.
Well, yesterday in Detroit, our senior RBI team from City of Cleveland won a championship, and they're advancing to Minnesota next week.
Wow. RBI World Series time.
Absolutely. I mean, yesterday was kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, we had our girls going for their 10th straight championship, and they fell a little short. They lost to Cincinnati 8-6. And then later in the afternoon, our boys team, led by manager Corey Douglas, brought home the hardware. It was a great day yesterday.
And again, John, you've seen this for a long, long time. What does it mean for even the seniors and the different people, that experience of going to a World Series? And what have you heard, some of the stories and things that have taken place?
I tell you, I mean, one of the things we did different this year is the first night we got there, we had a team dinner with all 3 teams. And, you know, we had a conversation, a talk, and, you know, kids got to talk to other kids. I mean, I'm watching a game right now. I'm watching a pitcher versus a hitter, and they were teammates yesterday. You know, watching our girls come together, you know, after playing in the league, you know, to be able to play over the weekend and just talk about the different experiences, the different backgrounds. I mean, it's great, and that's what it all stands for. You know, at the end of the day, yesterday we had a quote by Leroy Suarez, who used to be a former coach, works in the city. He said, at the end of the day, we're a family. And when he said that, it made a lot of sense, because these kids show a lot of passion, and these kids don't get a lot of credit. You know, City of Cleveland doesn't get a lot of credit. And I'll tell you one thing, the job that the rec centers are doing right now, they prepare these kids, you know, to be able to play the game, to be able to play in high school, has been tremendous over the last couple of years.
And when you talk about not just the RBI standpoint, but really the Cleveland Baseball Federation, they're the ones that fund this. They're the ones that put this all together, but you have a lot of help along the way. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, one of our biggest partners is the Cleveland Indians. And kudos to Rebecca Kodich and her team in the Community Outreach Department. You know, they provide us the opportunity to do this. You know, I'm with a ballpark tonight, and there's 3 games going on. I mean, you have a senior league championship game going on, and then you have the mini guys. You have the 2 junior teams going on the backfield. So, I mean, what better night for games? And but more importantly, you know, it takes a lot, and we do a lot on a little. But it gives the kids an opportunity to play the game.
And I guess the ones that are at home thinking about this say, oh, I didn't know they had this youth league and they have these different things. Folks, you can go right now to www.cbfkids.org, and you'll see everything about the Cleveland Baseball Federation, the different leagues. And yes, John, the price to play
is free.
So even if a kid comes and he's never had a glove before, we'll give him the glove, we'll get him the unit, we'll get the coach, and we'll get him to the games and back. So mom and dad at home, this is a chance to get your kid out there and let him get out there and learn. And it's more, and John, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about this because you mentioned family, but really when they talk about the word RBI, reviving baseball in inner city, you always hear that phrase, it's more than just a game.
Yeah, Tim, I mean, it's more than just a game. I mean, as we're watching today, I mean, this is a game of baseball, but, I mean, you're making memories. You're teaching kids life lessons. This is not about W's and L's. This is about being a better person and being a human being. And, you know, one of the best things that we talk about that is I look at our senior boys team. I mean, Corey Douglas was a former player in the league. Now he's a manager of the league. Alicia Ortiz, the head coach of the girls program, played in the league for 5 years. Our assistant coach, Mary Carbella, played in the league for 5 years. Olivia Wolfel played in the league, coached in the league, interned for us. Our junior coaches, you have 2 individuals that have been around the city of Cleveland a long time, in Archangel. And so those guys had an opportunity, they gave back. And giving back is the best thing. And they learned early in their time about playing in the league what it's all about.
And you're absolutely right, John. It really is about giving back. And a lot of the people that are watching today said, you know, I'd really like to coach a little bit and teach the kids and learn that. Well, again, if you're looking to volunteer, again, you can go to the website and put a note on it. You'd like to volunteer for the upcoming next season. And we'll give you a call and try to hook you up with the division you'd like to help with. But again, we want you to teach more than just a game. It's about life skills and lessons. And again, John, the one thing that really is an unsung hero behind the scenes is your director of RBI, Rob Anderson.
Absolutely. I mean, Robbie does a great job year in and year out, preparing the kids, preparing the league, preparing the coaches, being a liaison with the city, you know, collecting equipment, delivering equipment. You know, without Rob, I mean, a lot of things wouldn't be possible. Yeah, there are people behind the scenes that, you know, the quote-unquote face of the league, and you're out raising the money and things like that. But, you know, I don't get out as many games as I can. But, you know, every ballpark you go to, you see Rob Anderson. You know, kids know who he is. And without him, you know, I don't know where the league and or so RBI would be without his leadership.
Oh, he's a dead duck. Dead duck. Hesitated, didn't make the right move. Oh, my. So, partner, they threatened but didn't get in there. And again, hesitate and now shall cost you. And that's exactly what happened here. Again, Rudy Rodriguez puts on the tag. But again, John, let's talk about the people that are watching this, say, you know what, I really want to be a part. I want to help. I want to sponsor. How do they go about and do that?
Oh, it's simple. I mean, like you said earlier, if you just log onto our website, you'll see everything you need to do. And there's a button. If you're home right now, go on there. You'll see a big red button that says Donate Now. And with Donate Now, it could be $5, it could be $10, it could be $20. If there's a corporation out there that want to sponsor some kids, please give us a call. You'll see the number on the website, because every dollar counts. Every piece of equipment counts. You know, every meal you may want to donate to us count. So, you know, like we said earlier, you know, if a kid shows up at the rec center and they want to play, they play. You don't need anything. I mean, we provide the bats, the balls, the gloves, the insurance, the transportation, all those necessities that we want to take the doubt out. So you can't say, well, I can't do it. Well, we've taken all the doubt out. You can do it.
And also, one of the other things, folks, and you'll see it when we look at the history package, John, you and I would have probably just fell out of our chair if we had the opportunity. But Cleveland now, with the new league park, and our kids getting to play there, what a feeling is that?
That's unbelievable. And I'll tell you, you know, we had an opportunity to do some camps there this summer. And, you know, it's unbelievable. I mean, I wish, you know, growing up in Chicago, we had nothing like that. And here for all the years, you know, youth baseball never had anything like that. And now you have this gorgeous full synthetic turf field on the east side. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it's a jewel. And it's a jewel that, you know, we need to keep going. And for all those corporations out there, there would be nothing like putting a jewel like that on the west side of Cleveland.
That would be nice.
Then you also talk about, you know, League Park, the facility, but realistically, some great news in 2019, MLB, Cleveland Indians. You got to tell us, partner.
Yeah, I mean, you got the All-Star game in 2019, and it's going to be exciting. I mean, they haven't started to scratch the surfaces on the different youth opportunities they're going to have, but I'm sure our league's going to be involved. I mean, I've had the opportunity to represent CBF at 2 other All-Star games, and you know, we took a junior girls and a junior boys team to Cincinnati a couple years ago, and then we took a junior boys team to St. Louis 4 or 5 years ago. And I tell you, the funny part about that was that group that we took to St. Louis just graduated last year. So to know that they had that opportunity when they were 12, they just kind of graduated out of the program last year. I mean, it was very exciting. So I know there's going to be a lot of things going on, and those plannings have started to talk to come together. But you know, this past weekend, we had an opportunity to talk to Major League Baseball, talk about some ages, you know, talk about what could work, what can't work. So you know, stay tuned, and when it happens, it's going to happen, and it's going to go quick.
Coach Cass, let's talk about history. You go back and think of the last time the Cleveland Indians had an All-Star game. Do you remember who they selected for MVP of that All-Star game?
I do, because I was at that game, as a matter of fact, and our seats out there when Sandy Alomar hit the home run.
Yes, sir.
So are we going to get a prediction that 2019, maybe a Frankie Lindor or Jose Ramirez, if they're on the All-Star team?
I'm pretty sure they'll be on the All-Star team.
I'm sure they will.
I'm going to say that'll probably happen.
Be a nice story. You have an MVP right here at home.
And I hope, as we're talking about that, you see Corey Kluber on the mound starting that All-Star game as well.
Or Trevor Bauer. I'll take either one of them.
Take either one.
I tell you what, we couldn't talk about this about 10 years, 15 years ago about pitching. We got it now. So, folks, the upside of baseball in Cleveland is on the rise. It's now time to get behind it. Go to the Cleveland Baseball Federation website, www.cbfkids.org. And if you got any questions, you can pick up the phone right now about baseball and call 664-2326. Again, that's 664-2326, and we'll try to answer all your questions for you. So, John, I want to thank you for coming by, and I know you got a lot of work to do in the next week or so to get them out. It's been a great day, and again, our kids, thank you so much for everything you guys do.
No, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Okay. John Carter, the baseball CBF president of Cleveland Baseball Federation, stopping by.
And through all that, we got a new pitcher out here. And Buford started off the inning with a nice pulled the ball down to third, and then almost a great diving play, but Buffer was able to get on with a leadoff single.
Again, Phil Moore, 295 on the year. They tell me this guy is a phenomenal pitcher. He's kind of gives you that, I'm trying to think of the guy that has the long-haired pitches for Cleveland.
Oh, Clevenger.
Clevenger. Kind of gives you that Clevenger look. Okay.
Yeah, I saw him pitch. You talk about family. Coach Douglas had we always do it like a reunion game. Whole bunch of us old coaches and players got together and they played against the current team. And he, when we saw him pitch right away, I said, "This kid on the team or is he coaching the team?" Because he looked like a throwback. But yeah, he can throw the ball. I'm sure he was a big key this weekend and will be going into Minnesota next week. And he's probably happy because he actually gets a pitch or hit here. I'm sure Corey has him as a pitcher only.
I'll tell you what, whoever invented that changeup and the curveball, I can tell you one thing, that sure changed those hitters that were fastball hitters to start thinking about something else. Well, while we have a little delay here, we're going to go over to the assistant coach from the Michael Zone Raiders, see what he has to say about his relief pitcher, Jorge Cruz.
My reliever will be Steven Tavares. In order for him to be successful, he just has to stay on top of his fastball, just keep it low and away.
So you see it here, fly ball, could be trouble. Foul ball. Now, Coach Brory is going to be joining us at the top of this inning here. And you look at it right here. You look at it right here.
Really good at bat here too. He's making them work coming in out of relief.
I'll tell you what, they're tough outs. I'll say that for them. They are tough outs.
It's a nice play at short though.
So they get the ground out. At the break of this inning, folks, we're going to go to a little package that's put together by TV20. Look here, ground ball. Did a nice job. Stayed down on it, two hands, soft.
And it was nice to see a lot of those guys will rush and try to force a play at second base and end up making a mistake. And instead he got the out, made sure of it.
Tell me something, Coach. When you see players that field the ground ball properly with the two hands and the glove down, does that put you more at ease that he's fundamentally there? Or
Yeah, it was so nice. And not only that, if you saw in that replay too, I mean, he brought the ball right up to his belly button. It's stuff that you're always, you're trying to get little kids. And, my son just started playing. I'm trying to teach him that. He's just looking at me like, I caught the ball. What does it matter? But, on those plays like that, some of these fields, you never know those bounces you're going to get. And it's just those soft hands that everybody talks about. You just watch all those players, and he did it about as perfect as you could have done it there. Followed through on his throw. Everything was perfect. And I may or may not have over the years got on my players a little bit about their fundamentals.
John Bufford out at second base trying to keep him honest.
Those Buffords never stay clean, do they?
Oh, no. Never. Never.
His brother's probably dirty right now just sitting at home thinking about this game.
We're going to try to get Tom Broy in here early. See if we can get Ed to get Tom over here. I know he's here this evening. So, foul ball. And now joining us is Tom Broy from Cauga Heights. And again, Tom, welcome to TV20. And I appreciate you coming by. And we're going to talk a little bit about history and baseball and things you see. But your kids were part of this league this past year.
Yeah, we had a Cauga Heights team that was very young. A lot of 8th and 9th graders playing against some of these older kids. So it was good for them. Good for them to get out of the bubble and play against some other kids.
When you see these lights in this field compared to the old historic field, it's kind of like, kind of puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see. It's good to see baseball coming back. I know when I was younger than this, playing Class F, played all the way through Class F, Class E, Class D, unbacked, backed, C, B, and then I played in Class A for 31 years, and loved every minute of it. It's nice to see it coming back, and it'd be nice if they'd get all those leagues, so there were leagues for all ages.
Obviously, in your day, you did a little pitching at your time.
Yeah, 31 years of it, and I paid the price with two knee replacements, a hip replacement, and my left arm.
We're just talking about my future, Tim.
I do it all over again. You're falling apart. I go, no. I had 31 years of love in Class A. I had a lot of good years in the minor leagues through Cleveland, and it wouldn't. It's hard for the kids now to get to a Class A league or college league because they're not playing enough as young kids.
Yeah. And Tom, on this play here, if you look, now let's follow this replay. You'll see here's the fly ball, but what really impresses me is where's the pitcher. You look, the pitcher got off the line.
Backing up third.
And he's over there.
Yep, the second the ball was hit, he'd bounce right off the mound. He didn't even think about it.
Get against the fence, 15, 20 feet away, so it doesn't go past both of you.
And that'll never go in a stat book, but it sure makes coaches smile a little bit.
Yeah, you shouldn't even have to look at it. Hopefully you've taught them enough that you're looking to see what else is going on because you can trust your players.
Well, Coach, let me ask you a question. They tell me back when you had Lincoln West at one time that you had Siobhan Rose pitch one time?
I did, yeah. I was a little bit younger and a little bit less wise, I guess you would say, back in those days.
I just wondered if he got off the mound and backed up a base back then.
So he was bent over too much for disgust, I think, to get up the mound. And to be fair, when the ball goes over the fence, there's not much to back up.
We're just teasing because he's in here keeping our pitching stats for the game. But, Coach, let's talk a little bit about the season and the kids going through. What is it you try to get across to the kids that you help coach this year?
We've been coaching them for 7 or 8 years. Just try to get them to play fundamental baseball. And it's a hard thing to do when they don't watch games. They don't learn anything watching games. They don't learn from you telling them. You just tell them over and over. And it's very difficult compared to what it was 40 years ago. We watch ball games, we learn some. We watch pitchers cover first base. Now, you talk about it, and it's like, well, the first baseman's got it. Well, when he misses it or the second baseman gets it, you got to be there.
Right. Ground ball through, base hit. Here comes Bufford. Here comes another run. They extend the lead as Mike Clark and John Bufford both come in to score. So that extends the lead to 5-0. Well, let me ask you a question, Coach, because I know a little bit back when you were playing for Schrader's, you had a couple guys in the middle of that diamond. And, I mean, they must have drove you batty a little bit on fielding one time or another.
Well, just the first year when they came out of high school, Dave and Dan Schmatzer playing second and short. Billy Kramer, another senior, they just graduated from Benedictine. They made a lot of errors. You know, it was like, you know, my record was like 5-7, and I knew that they were going to be good ball players. That first year, maybe they did drive me crazy, but I never let anybody know it.
Here we go. Base hit went the other way. A nice job of hitting. Overthrows everybody, and now they move up another base. Oh, my.
And there's where those fundamentals we were talking about. Not only did he probably not need to make that throw because they weren't going to throw him out, but he threw it so far over the cutoff man that it went over the catcher, and nobody could stop the ball, and they moved up. Now they got 2 men in scoring position instead of just 1.
You look at it right here, there's no cutoff in there. You see where the third baseman went way up the line?
Yep,
He's supposed to be down there.
And really, he could have just ate the ball, tossed it into the shortstop, and been done.
Yeah.
He wasn't throwing him out. The ball died in the outfield.
Especially when the second runner is Mike Clark. He's probably the fastest guy out here. That's another thing, knowing the speed of those guys on the bases.
That's the same thing I'm talking about. You got to know what you're going to do with the ball. And there's like 10 different things that can happen, and you have to do the right thing. Obviously, like other coach said, you know, he threw the ball and he didn't have to. He wasn't going to get the guy out. He has to look and see and know that that guy is fast. If it gets stuck in the grass, slow, he's not going to throw him out the plate. So you got to stop the other runners.
And, you know, like he was saying too, it's like nowadays kids don't want to do situations. They want to go hit, they want to throw, they want to catch. And you ask Siobhan how they would just moan and groan because we'd be in the gym going over a same play that we did 18 times the day before, and they were wondering why. And it's hard to convince them until you actually see it take place in a situation like a championship game, but you can't be ready for it unless you're ready for it.
Yeah. If you don't practice it, it's not going to happen. You know, I know I say, you know, I'll never blame the kid for something I didn't practice. If we can't bunt, it's my fault. You know, if we can't hit and run or hit the right field on the outside pitch, that's my fault because I didn't work on it.
You know, Tom, you played a number of years, and you look at the coaches that you played for. I mean, obviously, you have to have a special feeling about Ray Schmatzer and what he was like. Can you tell us a little bit about Ray? Because he was one of the guys down here at this park that handled the little left baseball at the time.
Yeah, when I coached Dave and Dan and Kramer, they probably had more ground balls than any person in the world. You know, just grounder after grounder. I don't think they were natural baseball players, but he more or less made them baseball players. And, I mean, yeah, they fooled around. They had a good time. You know, I'd be pitching and take the stretch, and they'd be arguing about who's got the biggest average. You know, you stole the base just because the catcher missed the ball. Another team would think, you know, oh, they got dissension. And all it was them fooling around, having a good time. They'd talk about that instead of, you know, they'd talk about that. You know, oh, there's dissension on that team. There wasn't dissension. That was the greatest part. They're worried about that, and they're not worried about hitting the ball when I throw it.
Well, folks, we're going to look at this one more replay here. He made a nice play, the third baseman. And again, a nice job by the first baseman.
They did a good job squaring up after he charged that and caught it on the short hop. Got him out of that inning, try to keep this a game here.
Well, some of us think about baseball and they think about Cleveland. Well, we're going to take a look at this little package that was put together about the history of baseball in Cleveland.
League Park was built back in the late 1800s by a gentleman who happened to own the trolley car system. He placed League Park in the middle of a thriving neighborhood. It was built in the late 1800s, and originally it was a wood stadium that was built for 9,000 fans. In 1908, 1909, there was a movement to take down the old wood stadiums and really build state-of-the-art facilities. So what we're standing in now is the ticket house from the 1909 League Park. And they increased the number of seats from 9,000 to 20,000, became a state-of-the-art field. Recently, the park was restored in 2014 when the museum moved from downtown Cleveland here to League Park, and they restored the ticket house, a wall that was a part of the original facility, and they put the field back in the exact dimensions as they were when it was originally built. So home plate is exactly where it was when the Cleveland Indians won their 1920 championship, when the Cleveland Buckeyes won the 1945 Negro League World Championship, when Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run, same spot. So when you come to visit the park and you get onto the field, you're actually standing on what we consider holy ground for baseball, because all the great players played out here on this field. And it is where the Cleveland Indians began.
And League Park is not the only historical field in the city of Cleveland. Brookside Stadium hosted a number of amateur baseball games in the early 1900s with crowds of 30 to 80,000. In those days, sandlot baseball was very popular and even garnered tons of media coverage.
Early 60s, 70s, even a little bit into the 80s, the Plain Dealer covered the league like they had teams in it every Sunday, a team picture, an article about them all the way through the league. They had articles about the umpires, they had articles about the fields. Sometimes the fields were good, sometimes the fields were bad, and there were articles about it. They had articles about the backers, about people that made it to the minor leagues, to the major leagues, and covered it like it was like unbelievable. We didn't think it was unbelievable at that time until all the coverage left, and then we knew what we missed.
From Brookside Stadium to Talty Field, back to League Park, Cleveland's baseball environment is rich with history. And for kids to be able to learn this history and play on these fields is amazing.
When we get kids coming in here and they're out there and they know that they're playing on holy ground, it truly is a magical place here. And every time we get a group of people in here, especially young people, and they get enthusiastic about what they're seeing and they get really interested in what's going on, it brings a pretty big smile to my face. And it's a wonderful experience, and I'm blessed to be able to be part of this.
Well, again, you can see the history of baseball. Yes, it started with League Park, and it's so odd that the historic field in Cleveland, many of you may not know, but back then over 100,000 people saw a baseball game right here at this park. And still today, that landmark is still here. But now we're back to this game, Tom, and let's talk about some of the key players, especially for the Michael's Own Raiders.
Yeah, when we talked to coaches before the game, one of the key players is Trevor Sloan. We already saw him on the mound. He's already moved out now. He's batted .360 for the season. He had 13 strikeouts in the semifinal playoff game, and he can dominate the game when he throws strikes. Also, Colin Harris, he batted .500 this season. He's a power hitter. He's probably their best hitter on the team. He's their RBI machine. He bats fourth for them. And then catcher Fernando Toribio batted .475. He's got a strong arm, which would tell you why we haven't seen a lot of running going on. He's a solid hitter. He loves the game, and he can control the game from behind the plate.
So now batting for Michael's Own here in the third inning, Jorge Cruz. And again, if I'm getting it correct, Jorge Cruz, he had to
switch the lineup there.
Yeah, they put him back down there, so he's right in here, Cruz. So this is his first time up, actually. And Cruz hitting on the year .275. I'll tell you, whoever planned this for him, the other team cannot figure it out, because I don't think he knows what he's doing.
You know, Archangel likes to mix it up.
But Tom Brory, you know, if you see that package and they talk about, you know, the league that you were in back then, the Plain Dealer, the Sandlots was everything in the sports pages, especially on those weekends. Am I correct?
Yes. Well, during the year, every Sunday they would have a different team's team picture and a whole complete article about the team. And usually what they did was they started out with the teams that weren't as good, so that they were doing the teams at the end that were going to be going to the tournaments. The first and second place team would be going to a tournament, so they would do that at the end. So every Sunday it was beautiful. I couldn't wait to see which team was in there and read about their team.
You pitched along with some pretty good pitchers in your day, and you think about back then some guys that went on to pro ball from the Sandlot. Can you mention a few of those?
Steve Stone, Cy Young Award winner in 1980. I pitched against him the last game at Wood Hill Park before he signed with the Orioles. I hit a triple off him. That's a long way to run. I'll tell you, 270 feet is long.
You made it all the way around?
There's no fence, so it was just on cement, and it just kept rolling. It was rolling, and I was walking almost. And, Dale Mahorsik pitched on our team before he signed, played with Texas Rangers, New York Yankees. And then Steve Stone went with the Chicago Cubs. Jerry Dubzinski signed off our team at shortstop with the Cleveland Indians. So I played against 19 guys that have Major League Baseball cards, and I've saved every one of them. Gone to card shows, to buy those, because it was memories for me and to remember, who I played with and played against.
And Coach Castleberry, you talk about you had to have a special feeling being a coach when you see one of your kids over at Lincoln West that gets drafted by the Cleveland Indians, gets signed by the Cleveland. It's got to make you feel great.
Yeah, it was him getting drafted at all was special, but then to know he get drafted, and when he was playing in Lake County, I took my kids out there. He picked up my son, was just like one at the time, took him on the field with him, kind of held him out on the field, and then my son may not remember that, but when we look back at those pictures, hey, what's that? And and now to see him coaching high school baseball, and he can pass his love of the game on to other kids, and just to see how passionate he is with coaching now it's really nice.
So now the catcher, Fernando Toribio.
Good job over there at first base, because kind of we were talking about the good fundamentals. You kind of notice on that play that the shortstop kind of sat back on his heels and made a nice stop here, but he almost didn't, as we watched the replay, he almost didn't follow through like we talked about before, and he's kind of back on his heel. You can see that back foot kind of stayed back, and luckily his first baseman there bailed him out.
Ground ball to Bufford here. He'll throw over, and that'll end the inning. So we're still in the third inning, where we'll come to the O-Ball Indians, the home team that'll be coming up. But before we look at that, we're going to take a look at the key players for the O-Ball Indians. And these were guys who were identified before the game, and a little bit about those key players, Coach.
And one we've talked about a lot already is center fielder Mike Clark, batted .562, like we said. Great speed, probably the best outfielder in the league. He is a game changer. He changes everything about the game as their leadoff hitter. Also, their starting pitcher, Matt Harry, batted .547 this year. He's a solid hitter. He's one of the team leaders. He has a great knowledge of the game. And then finally, number 13, the catcher, Dan Wibsett, batted .600 this year. He's just a great defensive catcher. He's got a great arm. Nobody's even tried to run yet on him. And as we've seen, he hits the ball really hard.
Coach, you got to help me. I'm looking at this picture, all with the black right under the eyes, and it's a cloudy day. I thought those were mostly for the sun. Is that?
Yeah, but we got lights coming on, and let's not forget it is a TV game, so we got to look good, Coach. Sometimes you look good enough, the other team forgets that you're not playing good, and you can kind of trick them.
Tom, was that going on back then too?
I don't think so. We had wood bats, batting gloves, no batting gloves. We didn't leave the gloves on the field either. That was the generation before us.
So this year, the Cauga Heights kids for the first time played over at League Park. What was that like when you saw them walk into that field?
With their mouths open, just awe, like, wow. And, you know, to think Babe Ruth played there and Bob Feller pitched there, it gives me goose pimples. I suppose it didn't give them any. They don't even know who they are, you know. They don't even know Tom Baroe. It was a beautiful park, you know, and to have nothing in the dugouts, you know, no cleats, it's beautiful, and I just hope they keep it that way.
So leading off here for the O-Ball Indians, who are up 6-0, as you can see. We're in the bottom of 3. We're supposed to play 7. There is a run spread if we get to it. That's 10 runs after 5. And now batting is number 16, Jordan Mallarnay, which, Coach, I saw he walked in the first inning.
Yeah, we had a couple guys with walks and hit by pitch, and just too much of that going on today, especially in a championship game. And luckily for that, in that inning, it didn't end up coming back to haunt him. But you don't want to start the inning off walking somebody. He looks really patient up there too. He doesn't look like he chases stuff. So. Working the count again.
So we got a 3-1 count. Fouled one back. We do want to remind you that next week when we're on TV20, we will have the junior championship game. And again, that'll be 13 to 15-year-olds, where the Woodstock Black Sox will take on the Gunning Park Gators right here from Brookside Park. And we'll follow up some more championship play with the youth. And we'll also have the girls fast pitch. So a lot coming in. We'll also take a dip in the pools, where we'll have the outdoor swim championship again this year. So there's plenty to coming up on the channel. Keep tuned for TV20 Sports. And a swing and a miss. They get a strikeout. So now it'll be up to Tyler Rodriguez.
Battled back there after going down 3-1 in the count and worked hard for that strikeout. And they could really use a 1-2-3 inning right here.
You know, we had a youngster that played in the RBI from Cauga Heights years ago. I think it was a pitcher.
We had a few of them.
A few of them.
Alexander and
Alexander.
He was actually at the alumni game the other day, and he has already graduated from college, believe it or not. He actually was on the first RBI team that I coached that we ended up going to Florida for the World Series. He was on that team. Nice left-handed pitcher.
Tom, are you familiar with him?
No.
Alexander, left-hander,
he played on the team that went down to the state tournament.
Okay.
And
yeah, that was Coach Lowther's team.
Yep. And they had actually, we had that first year we had 3 kids from Cauga Heights on the team, a catcher and another pitcher. My age is messing with my head. I just forgot their. I can picture both of them perfectly, but Zach Browning and I'm forgetting the catcher's name.
Oh, big, strong kid. I remember.
Oh, he was a big
a ball out. Boy,
But all 3 of them, in fact, Zach Browning pitched in Cincinnati Red Stadium in that championship game, and I remember went into extra innings, and Coach Mo looked at me. He's like, "Oh, did we let him go?" I said, "Yeah, we let him go." And he's like, "No, he's struggling." I said, "No, he's not. He's good." Because by that point, we had used everybody that weekend. And actually, I was just talking to Rob Anderson before. They were talking about how quick a turnaround it is them going out to Minnesota in a week. We literally had the championship game Monday morning at like 7:30 in Cincinnati, and we were on a plane Tuesday morning. We just left right from Cincinnati for Florida for that World Series. So that was a long but fun week.
You know, the funniest part of this, Tom, is and Tom won't mention his name, but one of the coaches, the coaches stayed with each other.
Marcus Morrison.
Yeah, yes. He come home, and he looked so tired, he couldn't get no sleep. His wife asked him, he said, honey, what happened to you? He says, man, that guy snores so bad I couldn't get no sleep. He said it took him a good 10 hours of sleep to get back to normal. So little things like that, you think about memories and fun times. You're talking about how the Schmatzers and all those guys. You guys, baseball is a game that's supposed to be about fun also.
We had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun and we won. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But we agitated a lot of people. They stole a lot of bases. They, ran back and forth. Who's leading it in stealing, and wanted to get one, and it was just great competitiveness between those two and Billy Kramer. It helped us a lot.
Fly ball.
But he got his 1-2-3 inning. Boy, did they need that.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. So we're going to go here to the 4th inning. And again, when we're talking about TV20 and things that are coming up, no better time to talk about Cleveland Recreation and some of the free programs that are taking place right now. Obviously, the baseball season winds down. We look to fall, and no better time to talk about what's going on in all your Cleveland recreation centers. And again, in the recreation centers, again, free meals are provided every day after school at all Cleveland recreation centers. All you must be is a student in school. So again, mom and dad, once they're done with school, you can send them to the rec center. They can have a little meal. Again, they can do their homework, then they can recreate a little bit. It's a perfect setting for you. So again, contact your local recreation centers. If you have any questions about the free meal program, you can pick up the phone right now and call 664-2305. That's 664-2305. And obviously, Tom Brory and Tom Castleberry in the house, and we're talking about some of the history times and the good times with the teams. But realistically, guys, when it comes back, even you can go back 20 or 30 years ago when they first started, or even tomorrow, when they put on that uniform to go play it that night, there's a special feeling that every child has when they go to play.
And that's what I was just using social media now. I just posted it yesterday after that senior team won, and just kind of thanking the coaches for making it, if you've ever been around Corey Douglas, every one of those kids loves coming to the baseball field. It's not like, oh, we got to go to practice now. When are we practicing is what they say. And that's, with my son, I even told him, and he's only 5, and he can't not want to be at the field. But if he doesn't want to be there, then I don't want him there, because you want the people here. Like all these kids tonight, you see them here, you can see how excited they were before the game. Like they didn't care about their names getting announced. They wanted to get out there and just start playing and get dirty, and that's what makes it fun.
What's amazing to me is when Tim was talking, every time he talked about something, it was free. Back in the 50s and the 60s, it was like nothing was free. Everybody had to have a backer on the team. He had a backer, he was paying some money. And that's really what ended up killing baseball in Cleveland, was the cost for the backer. Our last 13 years with family baseball, my father and my sister backed it out of their pocket. No restaurant, no bar. They backed it out of their pocket, and I took care of every single baseball we had. I'm big on, when you start with 28 baseballs, you end up with 28. And because we had to have backers. Now when Tim's mentioning free, that's beautiful. I mean, how can you not play baseball when it's free?
You see a play like this that just happened. Good fundamentals, ground ball to first base, pitcher comes over and covers. I mean, that's sweet to look at. Let's take a look at it here, folks.
Yeah, and this is something, again, if they hadn't practiced this all summer long, they're not getting over there, they're not making that play. But you can tell they practiced it. It was smooth. Everybody, you can see in the background, the second baseman was running over. The right fielder was in the picture. They had everything covered. I didn't notice it, but I'm assuming the catcher was running down right behind him, too.
I imagine they get a lot of that through the high school coaches, too. When you put a team together like this, it's hard if you don't have a lot of practices. So if a kid learned it in high school, then he's going to be doing it. If he learned it in CYO ball or whatever, he's going to do it on a team where you put a bunch of guys together and they all know baseball. It makes a big difference.
Well, pretty soon at the top of the inning, we will have another special guest joining us. We will have the head coach of the Cleveland Senior Boys RBI team. He's also the pitching coach down at Mount Union College, and it's a story in itself that John Carter talked about earlier, where he started playing in a Little League. And Tom, you'll probably remember this, Morgana Little League, right near Cog Heights in the Broadway area over on 65th and Fleet in Broadway. He played there as a youngster and went on and played in the different leagues like you talked about, ED, Connie Mack, moved up and ended up going to join in the RBI program, played there. He was also the pitching coach at Hiram College, and then he took a position with his former school that still today he holds the save record at Mount Union in the pitching department, and he's now their pitching coach for Mount Union.
Let's not forget he also spent a year as an assistant baseball coach at Lincoln West High School.
Oh, my Lord. He talks about the Lincoln West coaching job, and he said, Tim, he says, if anything I learned, I better get some Spanish under my toe.
Let me tell you, we had a great year that year, though. And you're talking about memories, and then, you know, like we say, the Indians pitching in, just getting to play down a Progressive Field. And even for my daughter, I was just looking at video the other day of Coach Corey, who's before the game, you know, throwing her batting practice on the field. We're waiting for all that pregame stuff, probably waiting for you to get done with your pregame speech. But, you know, he's down on the field throwing her. I mean, it's great what the Indians do, helping out, making things easier for the kids in Cleveland to have opportunities that we never really had growing up.
You know, we're very fortunate that Cleveland Indian Charities have stepped out. In fact, you go back, Tom, I don't know how many years ago it was, but it seems closer to 20 years now, where Cleveland Indians Charities came in and saved the Cleveland Metropolitan School District baseball and softball.
They really did. So I had that ball ate him up there. I had a player who, you know, I don't recommend this, but he really lived for baseball, and they canceled baseball. They canceled baseball and softball season in the beginning of the year, so we're not going to have him, and he kind of just fell off and dropped out of school, and he wasn't going to even going to finish school. And the Indians stepped in later that year and said, you know what, we're another error, and they got on the board here.
He's trying to go to three. Here's the throw. He's in there.
But the Indians stepped up, and that was the first year that they saved us, and he actually went back to school, met with all his teachers on his own, got caught up, and ended up playing for us, and ended up being the MVP by the time he was a senior, and actually came back and helped coach too, and still plays in the Cleveland Adult Baseball League.
Tom, you know, when you see some of these guys play, you know, you've had a lot of guys that were at the high school, and back then I think it was still Connie Mack or NABF or whatever. A lot of them would filter into the AAA back then.
Yeah, now you know, that's like, I think AAA kind of folded up. It was like we didn't have any feeder system to us. Chuck Rosansky, who was great, and Connie Mack, any player he told me to take, we never had tryouts. You know, Chuck would recommend it. I'd say I need a shortstop, I need a second baseman, outfield. And whoever Chuck recommended, I knew the kid had practiced a million days, and you know, just he knew what he was going to do. If he didn't, he wouldn't have been with Chuck Rosansky. Yeah. And he'd bring his kids over to my batting cage in my backyard. I had that for 13 years, and you know, Chuck would come over there and, you know, stand there yelling at the kid and tell him to hit it to right field. And I mean, he worked with the kids. He worked with them. He was rough with them, but they sure were good ball players coming away from him. Now there's no feeder system for the kids. That's why I'm glad to see this 16 to 19, and here kids are going to college from here.
He threw a nice breaking ball here. I don't think
you tell us at home.
Agreed. It ended up low, but it may have caught that knee on the way by. It had a lot of break to it. It's not something you want to see happening, though, when you're down 6-0.
It's a knuckle curve. Someone put his knuckle on it. Yep, knuckle curve.
Again, big guy, number 3 for Michael Zone. We're going to try to find out who we got up here. It looks like Figueroa, but I'm not sure.
Our numbers seem to be
We'll have
off.
to check with our guy.
This would be big. Zone needs to really get this run in, kind of get back in the ball game here. Big 2-out hit.
Good sized kid.
He's down the count now. He's going to have to battle back here. My guess is at some point we're going to see that knuckle curve again. And there it is. And he got the strikeout. Nice play by the catcher there to throw him out.
Well, again, that brings us to the end of the 4th inning. As you look at our high camera shot, you're looking at Brookside Park, Talty Field, where it's been the Senior Boys Baseball Championship game. Again, Tom Brory, Tom Casper, Tim Wells coming in the house. And Tom, we want to thank you for coming by. It's been a nice time to chat with you. And again, we appreciate everything given back to the kids in your community.
Thank you very much. I love baseball, and you already know that.
Right.
And that's why I'm here.
Okay. Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be right back, folks, after this timeout.
Mayor Frank Jackson and the City of Cleveland are committed to keeping your neighborhood clean and green through the use of the city-issued trash and recycling carts. It's safe, convenient, and mandatory. For more information, contact the Cleveland Division of Waste Collection at 216-664-3717.
Welcome back to Brookside Park, where you're watching the Senior Boys Baseball Championship game, where the O-Ball Indians, as you can see, are out in front 6-1 here in the 4th. Tom Gassaberry, Tim Wells, and our special guest, the Senior Boys Baseball RBI head coach and team manager Corey Douglas, joining us. Coach, you got a lot to be thankful for in the last few days. I know you didn't get much sleep, but it was an experience of a lifetime in Detroit. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, definitely didn't get much sleep. My heart needs about a week's rest, that's for sure.
That's about all you get.
Yeah, that's all. Actually, it is all we get. We leave Sunday morning, so I don't get much more rest than that. Yeah, we went down there for the East Regional and ended up going 4-1 and won the whole thing. We beat Pittsburgh to win the championship 11-2. So they made the championship game a little easier for me. Not the first 3 innings, but the rest of the game was pretty easy. The first 3 innings we were losing 1-0, so it was a pretty good trip, man. The guys were pretty relentless, that's for sure.
And obviously a little bit of a different feeling. You're here watching this game and you got some of your guys on one team, some of the guys on another, but just getting to see your guys get in a few extra swings has got to make you feel a little bit good about that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see it all come together and watch them compete versus each other. You know, the score I think could be a little closer, but they're definitely competing. It's, you know, instead of having practice, I get a day off and they get to play some baseball. So it's kind of a win-win, but that's for sure. But it's a good experience for all of them, especially I think to play against each other in a competitive environment and kind of let loose versus each other.
And Coach, obviously, just to step away from RBI for a minute, a lot of the players we see here and the people that you coach, you know, they'll be leaving high schools and getting ready to go into colleges, and you're a big part of trying to find them the spot that they like and getting them out to understand what's involved. But for our viewers at home, if they have a kid that is a high school graduate looking to get into college, what kind of preparation should they go through to get to that point?
Well, I think the first and most important thing is the schooling. I think a lot of kids and family members don't understand that the GPAs and the ACT are probably the most important piece for any of us to get out on the field and recruit someone. But I think when they don't have that option to kind of understand and know which way they can go, you know, from a community college to NAI to Division III, Division II, Division I level, I think every kid's dream is always Division I, Division I, Division I, but it's only about the 2 to 3% in the whole entire world that get to go chase that dream, and I think kids don't really understand that. So, you know, the advice I would give them is, you know, first and foremost is just do everything you can in school. Do everything you can in school. You know, get your grades right. You know, the city of Cleveland offers free ACTs, you know, I think up to 3 times. So I'd recommend taking it as many times as you can get it. But more importantly is just, that's not a foul ball, Coach.
That's not a foul ball at all.
But
look at this.
And he is silly fast.
He's very fast. That's a 6'6" runner right there, man.
But I have no idea why that was a foul ball.
I don't know, but Mike's probably going to be happy when he has a double here 2 seconds later. But to keep every door open, you know, every kid says they're going D1 and their parents think they're going Division I, and then reality is they're going to go walk on at Kent State or Toledo and Akron and have a chance to get cut, which is pretty heartbreaking for everyone. When there's probably a level for every single player that they can choose if they kept an open mind and just give every school an opportunity, leave every door open as much as possible.
So, Coach, I'm sure there's some viewers like me say, well, what is a good GPA? What is a good ACT score that they should be shooting for? I mean, you as a coach know that, hey, before I even look to them, they need to be at this range. Can you share with our viewers?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a 2.8 and 18, you're going to be, you know, you have a really good chance to go to pretty much any school you want to. Obviously not the higher end, you know, academic schools, but for most schools in the country, you're going to have a really good chance to get in. And then anytime you get a 3.0 and a 20 and, you know, a 3.0 and a 17 or a 3.4 and a 17, you know, the higher your GPA is, the higher the ACT is, the more money the school gives you. You know, not a lot of people realize that baseball is probably the least funded sport in all of collegiate sports. So, you know, we get 11.5 scholarships, and, you know, everywhere else is fully funded. So, you know, if a Division I school comes knocking, the odds of you getting a full ride on a 35-man roster is it's pretty impossible to see. You know, I mean, you got to divide that up by 15 guys you're trying to bring in every single year. It's just a very hard thing and unrealistic thing to get. So, you know, anywhere between 2.8 to a 3.0 and a 17, 18 is going to get you probably into most schools you're going to look at. And then the higher you go, the more money a school will give you. So, you know, I would tell you, try to get a 3.2 and a 21, and it's going to save your parents a lot of money, that's for sure.
And Tom was talking earlier about how you had coached with him at Lincoln West. Obviously, you know, you've seen it at the high school level. Here comes an air, Coach. I think that was called sitting back on it at that time, Coach?
Yeah, shortstop sat back and should have went to second. But
yeah, and I think he got that speed again. He just got he got thrown off. He saw Mike coming down on him. I don't think he ever set himself again to throw over to first.
So that was not. Looked like he had him at second for sure.
And I think he just saw that blur coming over, and once he sat back, he looked over and saw it. And I think the third baseman somehow even got in his way a little bit, and I don't know how that happens, but.
Wow. So Matt Harry, again, this guy had 8 doubles, led the team with doubles this year.
He's a good shortstop right here.
He's already scored 2 runs today.
Pitching today, but he's a good shortstop.
But Mr. Wells here said you had to learn a lot of Spanish that year at Lincoln West.
I did. I actually had no idea what was going on 3/4 of the time, and I'm sure Coach Castleberry didn't know.
I coached it for 16 years. I still
didn't know anything either, but we played really well, that's for sure.
We made it work.
Yeah. Hit doubles and home runs, and we'll be happy.
They understood the rounding the bases part.
And we'll teach you how to bunt.
And we did a little bit of bunting.
It's a good team, Coach Cass. I mean, I was fortunate to get the job offer from him, and he built a pretty good program from the ground up. It was awesome to see and awesome to be a part of, and we had a really good team. We actually won the championship. When we had 2 outs, believe it or not, I had to go to the bathroom.
And He's not lying, Coach. Bases loaded.
We're at Progressive Field, bases loaded, 2 outs, up 1 run, and they hit a line drive, and I'm in the bathroom, and Coach Cass goes, "What are you doing?" I got nervous. I was in the bathroom.
And Nick Guerra, I think we actually slid 2 pieces of paper on him, got up in the air, made the catch at first base to end the game.
It was pretty
awesome.
I
turned around to celebrate with Coach, and he wasn't there. Luckily, a couple years later, we got to celebrate.
We did. We got the hug at Tri-C
for the regional championship back then.
He's hot, man. That's his third hit of the game, second hit of the game.
Yeah, he's been on all 3 times. He got hit by a pitch. He had a base hit. Now an RBI single.
Kid's on fire, man.
Yeah, they came ready today.
This will be, I think, what? How many times they've won the championship, Tim, this O-ball team? Handful of times for Coach Tony?
I think it's at least twice now.
Yeah.
They're the defending champs, and this young man up here, Jonathan Cruz from St. Ed's, and a little poke. But obviously, Coach, when you go back and you think about it, what advice do you give to those kids that are now in high school and now they got to look for, you know, where do I go from here? What do I do? What kind of things do I try to prepare? We talked about getting the education, the highest GPA, the ACT, but how do they know where to go, what to do? How does that all play its role?
Well, I think the first thing every kid's got to learn to utilize is the internet. You know, I mean, City of Cleveland, you have a Cleveland Public Library all over the place. Your school has, you know, computers you can access, and just get on the internet and start researching schools that, you know, I'd say for most kids an hour and a half is a really good range to start. You know, 30 minutes to an hour and a half is probably where 85% of your students are going to go to school. So I would tell, you know, look at schools an hour and a half and check the mile range and do some research on them and see if they have your major or what you possibly think about studying. And then the next step would be try to visit those schools and do a little research on the cost and the dorms. And on a visit, you normally get to see everything about a school that you can possibly want to see. So, you know, I would tell you to find a way to visit as many schools as you can possibly visit, and do as much research as you can. And then when you go on those visits, ask questions. I think a lot of kids, you know, especially for us, when we get a guy that comes visit, they don't ask any questions, and you're trying to pull questions out of them. And then the second they get home, they send you 5,000 text messages like, what about this? What about food? What about the dorm? Can I live with this person? Can I do this? Take a list with you and ask every question you can possibly ask, because you don't want to leave anything unturned, you know, because it's going to be the biggest decision of your life for the next 4 or 5 years. And, you know, we tell every guy, it's, even when you're picking a major, is if it takes you 2 to 3 years to pick out your major, it's a pretty good investment, because ultimately that 2 to 3 year decision is what you're going to do for probably 40 to 50 years. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think they just get in there and go, well, oh boy. Deep fly out.
So 7-1 here in the fourth. Again, Coach Douglas joining us and Tom Castleberry in the house. A beautiful night for baseball. Again, about 60 degrees, cloudy skies. And again, you can see the high camera shot coming from TV20 in your house. Again, Coach, you have to tell us a little about your team, you know, and I guess every coach tries to get it to melt together. Mm-hmm. And if anybody comes back, they probably would say, whatever I did, it sure came together at the right time, because everything clicked for you while you were there.
Yeah, we had, you know, honestly, we had a really interesting summer. We played a lot of tournaments together, and, you know, played all over the whole state of Ohio. And, you know, only twice in a tournament we went to the semifinals, but every other tournament it was, you know, losing two to 3 games and winning 1 or 2 games. And all summer long we would lose 7-6 or 3-2, 1-0, 2-1. And we were in every game, and, you know, we played a lot of the best teams you can play, which is, you know, I think a thing that helped us big time. But they came together. We practiced 24/7. I think a lot of people don't realize the commitment the kids in the RBI program put in. And there's a handful of kids that, unfortunately, we had to cut that, you know, they made that commitment as well. But, you know, you can only take 15 kids according to MLB. So there's probably about 20 kids that put an everyday commitment into practice or some form of conditioning or working out and really getting after it and grinding with each other. So I think as you go through a whole entire summer from June and July of practicing, you start to kind of have each other's back and have the bond with, you know, well, we are this good. We just haven't got our lucky break. And when we got to the regional, we started getting lucky breaks. You know, we started getting a hop this way, a hop that way. And and we were on the other side of the coin. Instead of being walked off on all the time, we were walking off on teams, which was the fun experience of it. You know, I mean, you go through a whole entire summer of winning a game, and then they walk off, and you're watching everyone celebrate, and you go, man, I wonder what that feels like. And then we started to become the team that started to give the other teams that feeling of, oh man, this stinks. So it was a pretty fun summer. They were relentless. That's really the only word I can say for them. I mean, they never gave up. We were down a lot of games in the regional and put a 9-spot one inning, an 8-spot the next game, and a 6-spot the following game. So it was a wild ride and a wild journey. But we also had a handful of juniors and seniors that have played in the program forever and never made it. So I think it meant a lot for them as far as, you know, making it to the World Series, and they kind of came up in big clutch situations. And you know, I think it was just kind of God's will of these kids deserved it, they've earned it, and we got our trip. So hopefully.
And maybe both of you can comment on this, Tom, but really coaching kids, and I'm going to say maybe in the last 10 years versus 25 or 30 years, you got to deal with more issues. You know, I've heard, Corey, you talk about you guys are practicing 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and, you know, this one's got to work or whatever it may be. It's tougher today coaching this age group because of those challenges that they have.
Yeah, like we talked about the last inning of just building the family mentality and having the kids that want to be there, not that are saying, oh, we have to practice today. They're texting you saying, when are we practicing? Or, you know, I even remember my last year coaching with RBI. You know, we had some kids that were working. Well, coach, I'm going to miss practice, but can I go out to the field and do this? Or, you know, it's that whole family RBI feeling that I was telling you about that coach does such a good job of building. And we talked about, and I think maybe now you can look back on it a little bit, since I know it was only a couple weeks ago, but the alumni game we talked about, and coach was talking about, oh, we keep losing all these one-run games. I said, that's all right, because now you lose them now, you just get that one that puts you over the top. And they were playing in the alumni game against a lot of the kids that came back to play, and we kind of looked at each other. I said, is this kind of, they kept coming back, and Coach Suarez, he's like, look, they're starting to become a family. And I told Coach Corey after the game before I left, I said, I bet this is the one that turned you around right here. And, you know, maybe, I don't know, you can kind of look back now and see if that team kind of gelled that day, Coach, or if now you think that was the thing that kind of did it, that kind of brought you over all the way through?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, you know, even in that alumni game, we got down pretty big, 5-1. Obviously, because our alumni are really good. Not saying that I'm one of those guys, but
you did a great job of pinch running, though. Let me tell you,
we were pretty good
for like 8 straight batters.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I had oxygen ready.
My legs are still bruised, in case the crowd's wondering. But it was, and I think, you know, the guys got to see the alumni kind of bond and see, you know, what it's like to be a brotherhood and a family. And then I think you kind of slowly learn, like, you know, this is what's going to be, you know, win or lose, that we're going to be here together forever. Because the alumni events, you have a handful of teams that have won the regionals, and you have a handful of teams that have lost it a couple of years in a row. So you kind of get to talk and meet other guys from different ends of perspective of just, hey, I never won it. We lost the championship 3 years in a row. And then you got a guy that shows up and it's like, oh, I won it. This is what the World Series is about. This is what we used to do. And, you know, every team, like to answer your question, every team's just been different. You know, as when I first started, the first 10 or 11 years ago, it was simple. We practiced every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We jogged from Kavasic to Gordon Park, and now you know, this year we're going at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, because everyone works till 5 or 6, and then, you know, you're battling with babysitting, and, you know, it's just hard because the family support and, you know, the parents taking you to do all the baseball things isn't really what it used to be anymore. And I don't think it's, you know, a family's fault or anyone's fault. I think times have just changed a little bit.
Plus, they're required to play in this league.
They are. It makes it very difficult. That's for sure. And the hard thing is, this year, you know, it was a really cool setup I think the league had, and the way CBF did it with the double headers. But, you know, we used to be able to do a 6 o'clock game and then afterwards practice from 8 till 10:30 at night. But this year it seemed to be, you know, a lot of double headers on Monday and Wednesday nights, which was awesome for the guys. You know, anytime they can go out there and compete and learn to get better at the game, it definitely benefits them. But it made it very difficult for, you know, our coaching staff and our players to really get in a consistent rhythm of when we practice, how we practice, where we practice. You know, we just really were alternating fields from Brookside to League Park to Gordon. And ultimately, it probably made us better. You know, I mean, if I had it my way, we probably would have played at League Park and kids would have never got a bad hop all summer, but I don't think that would have helped us in the long run. So I think everything helped us.
Well, again, you're watching the Senior Boys Baseball Championship game, and we'll be right back after this timeout.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back as you are joining us at the Boys Baseball Senior Championship game at Brookside Park. And again, Corey Douglas. Coach, just one more thing when you're talking about this. When you look back at your experience from starting all the way back over in the Morgana Little League and all the way up through the program and into coaching, when you look back at some of those great memories, what's maybe one or two that kind of stick out in your mind and say, man, that really was a worthwhile thing?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, ultimately it was, you know, just like probably my own kids right now, is us winning the regional in 2007. I mean, we were the first team in Cleveland to ever do it. We got to go to Compton for 7 days, and it's all paid for, all inclusive. And you're at Dodger Stadium playing some games. You're at MLB Academy playing some games, and they're all
right on the money.
I
got it by him. Right on the button, Coach.
Makes you a triple here.
Triple for Jordan Mullen. And the fielder came in a little too hard. Ricardo. First steps back, right, Coach Cass?
It should have been, but it definitely wasn't on that one. It cost him. That ball jumped out off his bat here. I mean, he got to put a good swing on it. I don't think he expected to be that much on the line. He thought he was going to get to cut it off, and it just burned him a little bit.
I think that was, you know, probably the coolest experience I got to experience. And a cool thing that I liked in the summer when we played here was we did an all-star event. Not sure what you guys did with that, but that was probably one of the cooler things I got to do, because you got to play with all the best players in the league. And it was a really cool experience. We were under the lights, and kind of, I think we televised it even back then, and you probably remember those days when we televised it. But I thought it was an awesome experience to play with, you know, 15 of the best each side of the league. And, you know, probably the best part for me, I think through it all, you know, growing up and just going through Cleveland and CBF and RBI was, when we were RBI and when I played, was, you know, being an inner city baseball team and you don't pay anything and it's free, was playing those top of the line expensive travel teams and just really kicking their butts, you know, because they don't expect you to win. You know, you got mismatching pants and, you know, different hats, but you got the matching cotton T-shirts, and you show up and they think you're a joke. And then, you know, my summer we went, I think, I don't know, like 35-4, and our only losses were in the World Series. So it's always a cool experience when you get to play free baseball and you actually get to go out and compete against some of the best teams, and you really just beat them. I mean, that's probably the coolest part. Uh-oh, gonna have to play at the dish, maybe. Nope.
Sac fly, drives in another run. Again, a nice job. And now coming to bat for the O-Ball Indians is number 12. And that is Jose Correa. And he's over at Bard High School, which is part of the Cleveland Municipal School District. So again, Coach, obviously a lot of people have seen this now, and I'm sure they'll be going, oh, I want to get my kid in that next year. How do I get my kid to try out and be a part of that? It really all starts with joining into the senior baseball league first.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, each recreation center normally has a team, and there's a couple of independent teams like O-Ball that have their own teams, and there's no cost in it. Everything's free. They provide pants, jerseys, hats. CBF even provides bats and balls for all the guys. So, you know, you got to play in the league. You have to make X amount of games to play RBI, and then we have a tryout. Normally the tryouts that first Wednesday through Friday of June. It's traditionally been the same tryout for us every single year. You know, maybe moving forward, probably next year, I think we're looking to start to do it in the fall so we can get our guys through winter training and winter lifting and winter programming. You know, we have a lot of college coaches involved and a lot of high school coaches like Coach Cass that, you know, during the winter they're kind of free, and that'd be a good time for them who maybe can't coach in the summer but can help out in the winter and do pitching lessons and kind of give back their time. So, you know, you just got to get on the Monday and Wednesday rec league teams and try out. I mean, the tryout's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it gives you a chance to get evaluated, and all the evaluations are provided to you if you want to know how fast you pitch, what 60 you ran, and everything's given to you. So
I always thought that tryout was huge, even for the kid that got cut. Like, I'd have kids in Lincoln West, I don't want to try out, Coach, because I'm not going to make it. And I said, well, for A, you don't know until you try out.
You're definitely not going to make it if you're not there.
And that was my second thing was I said, well, if you don't show up, you're definitely not going to make it. And then on top of that, you just get to be around, and you could see where you stack up and say, well, now I know what I need to do to work on, or now I know what I need to do to improve my game.
Well, folks, you're looking at Steven Tavares, one of the relief pitchers for the Michael Zone Raiders. And earlier today, we were talking to the assistant coach, and we asked him what his views were about Steven Tavares, the relief pitcher for the Michael Zone Raiders.
One down.
And again, you're looking at Steven Tavares. It's 8-1. And now joining us, you know, Tom, when you talk about assistant coaches and you say, okay, you got the hitting, I got the pitching. Well, you know, when we see those games 1-0, 2-1, you look at the hitting coach like, what's been going on here? And then on the flip side, if they're scoring a lot but the pitchers ain't doing it, you've seen that happen all the time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure our next guest got chewed out a little bit in the Cincinnati game, but he got a lot of credit against Pittsburgh. So, you know, it works out both ways.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, joining us is Wesley Reyes, one of the assistant coaches that will be going to Minnesota with the Cleveland team and is responsible for the hitting. But really, it seemed like, and Corey had talked about it, that, you know, during the year the ball bounced the wrong way. We were playing tough baseball, competitive, which just didn't fall right. And it definitely didn't seem like they were hitting like you had wanted them, but it seemed like, hey, you went up there and it was like they put their hitting shoes on.
Yeah, it's all about the adjustments when it comes to those type of games, you know. And a lot of those guys, you know, when they get to those tournaments, they tighten up a little bit. They try to do too much, so it takes a kind of a mindset and a different approach, especially with the pitchers we were facing, to hope and execute every at-bat. So that's what we had to do.
Now, again, just for the viewers at home, Wesley Reyes started out, and you actually played in the RBI program.
Yes.
Went on, and now it's given back as a coach. Tell us about that feeling and what you've seen.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's my 15th year with the program. I played 5 years as a player, 10 as a coach. So it's been a great experience, not only to give back, but just continuing the legacy, especially within the city, within the Hispanic community as well, just representing it in the right way, doing the little things to get the players to play good baseball, you know, and to continue moving forward as that goes.
Besides your regular job that you work normally during the day, you're also involved with the Cleveland Indians. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm an ambassador right now. That's my position. So I'm kind of like the face of the Indians during game day. So it's been a great experience, a foot in the door that hopefully, God willing, will open more doors so I can help the Indians get involved more in the community as well. That's my goal. So.
Well, I know it's got to be a special feeling. And obviously, Corey was talking about, and Tom were both talking about when they had the Spanish guys, neither one of them knew any Spanish. So
right.
You're kind of protecting them when we get to the Spanish guys and trying to translate it? Or?
Yeah. There's times that not only the translation is crucial, but, you know, sometimes they miss the signs. So sometimes we just yell it out in Spanish, so it helps out a lot.
What's amazing about this game, Coach, is both teams play to an 8-8 tie. We're now 9-1, and you can probably put in the column of mistakes. We've got to be above 8 or 9 with things that have happened in this game.
Yeah, we talked about it right off the bat. The keys of the game was not giving them extra outs and not giving. I mean, it's been extra out after extra out, and I'm sure that's what Coach is going to look back at if this game finishes the way it's been going.
Well, we're in the bottom of the 5th. If these two runners score, it'll be a run spread. And it definitely will be the end of the ball game.
And before the game, we were talking about the rules of extra innings, and we both felt that we had a good chance of seeing those rules take place.
So now they move into scoring position. Still only one out. And Matt Harry, who's been on base almost all the time tonight, started out as a pitcher. I don't think they've taken him out yet. And he put one in play. This may do it.
That's about to wrap it up here. It's going to take one heck of a throw to keep this game.
It's going to be close.
Oh, he cut it. He didn't realize the score of the game.
Yeah.
The game's over. It really doesn't matter.
Wow. So if we got it correct, we're in the 5th inning. It's 11-1.
Yep, that's it. They just had to know the situation. They got to let that go through and hope to get him out at the plate.
So game called on the run spread, and we'll look at it right here. Matt Harry with the big hit.
Attaboy, Harry. He did the same thing in Detroit.
Is that what he did?
Yeah, big hit.
I tell you, what a great day. And when we're all said and done, what a beautiful night it's been, Tom. Again, I'm sure the Michael Zone Raiders will look back. We didn't play well. We probably knew it. We knew it from day one when we got in here and made a couple errors. It wasn't going to be a good night, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they gave him too much, but Obal played a great game tonight.
Well, when we come back, we'll have the outstanding player of the game and the winning team.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Brookside Park, Tully Field, where we've been watching the senior baseball championship game between the Obal Indians and the Michael Zone Raiders. And a very happy coach, Tony Latessa. You've been here before. You won it last year. You came back and did it again. But obviously, the kids you got can flat out play.
Yep, I could count on them anytime in any game. They come to play.
Well, obviously, when they're hitting the ball, pitching the ball, it makes it a lot easier. But right now, we're going to bring in the director of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, Rob Anderson.
On behalf of Cleveland Baseball Federation and the City of Cleveland, I want to congratulate the Obal Indians, 2018 Senior Baseball Champions.
And Coach Castleberry has a special award also that we're going to give out. Coach?
Yeah, coaches, we looked at this. We had a few players that we thought really could have been handed it to for O-ball tonight with a great team effort, but somebody that did it on pretty much all ends, was on base all 4 times, pitched the game, and knocked in the final 2 winning runs. Matt Harry with the outstanding player. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, guys. And first of all, again, congratulations, Coach, for an outstanding season and well played. And again, we want to wish you the best of luck in the future. Again, folks, before we leave, we want to remind you to stay with us, because we're going to show some of the plays and some of the faces that were part of the 2018 Senior Boys Championship game. But before we leave, we want to remind you that next week we'll be right back here at Brookside Park for the Junior Boys Championship game between the Woodstock Black Sox and the Gunning Park Gators. But for this day, it belongs to the O-Ball Indians as the 2018 Senior Baseball Champions. Good night, everyone.